okay? This is so I know where to start. Okay.
Okay. Welcome back to Frickin' Scary with Holly and Mallory. I've stopped counting the episodes because I really don't care.
I don't think anybody else
Today,
does either. We need
I
to
don't think anybody
advertise
else.
more. We need to I need to get us back on Instagram. Like, this is bad.
Listen,
This is
it's
bad.
okay. We are busy women. We have lives. We have jobs. However, I stopped giving them a number and I started giving them a title, which I think is better.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So if the 3 people who watch our channel go to YouTube, they all have a funny little title. And I try to be real snarky with like a little commentary because we're idiots. Today we're talking about a scary movie that and this was Mallory's idea, by the way, wish we could go back and see for the first time again, just because it was such an experience for us.
Yeah.
So do you want me to go or do you want to kick off?
Yeah, you go first.
Okay. Super easy on my part. You guys, I've talked about this movie pretty much almost every single episode.
Like, why don't you just marry it?
No, honestly. So in the horror movie slasher movie genre, right? Because I hate to say scary movie. I feel like that's a cop out. It's either a horror or a slasher or a thriller. Okay.
This is definitely horror, though.
This is definitely horror.
Yeah.
Not slasher because there's not really a killer, but it's a thriller as well. And what I mean by thriller is there's a real meat to the story.
Yeah.
There's a
story
real
behind this horror. Yeah.
There's a lot of things in the movie that 100% could happen.
Yeah.
And because I love that mixture. Okay, so I'll get into it. And I could do a whole episode by myself. So stop me at any time.
Well, first of all, tell me when you first saw this movie. When is the first time you saw the movie?
So of all the things I don't know about this movie, I actually don't remember what year it came out. I was very young. I want to say
it was high school. It was
17. I think so. 20 years ago. Okay.
IMDb, here I come. I'm gonna look.
Yeah. What year are we talking? Because we graduated in what, 2002?
Yeah. I know that I was at least a junior when this came out on video at least. So let me look.
Literally from Blockbuster. Let's bring it back.
2002 was when it was released. So we were seniors.
Perfect. Okay. So I was a senior. I was 17 years old. I actually watched this alone. This is how messed up I am. Oh, P.S. I also watched the Blair Witch Project alone.
Ew.
And that one did actually, and at night by myself while I was babysitting a baby who was sleeping. It was really not smart. All alone, my parents were gone. So this is a good sidebar to like why I think I'm kind of like a dark humored person. I've spent a lot of time alone. My parents would often take trips up to like Utah or down to Mexico and leave me with my little brother. And so we just took care of ourselves. Samuel was gone that night. He was staying at my other sister's house and I was all alone. So of course I decided, let's watch a scary movie.
Why not? What could go wrong?
I shut all the lights off. I've got my snacks. I'm in this big old bed, big old TV, and I put The Ring on. And it was so scary to me. I remember I couldn't go to sleep that night without leaving all the lights on in the room. I went and checked the doors and because my mom never had curtains, I took sheets and hung them over the double doors, right? Because it's glass, you could see out. I was so freaked out. Here's why. There was so much insane imagery in this movie. And I know I'm like a broken record with this, but at the time, horror movies, thriller movies, scary movies were very gimmicky, right? Like think of Poltergeist as I've never thought of that as a scary movie. That does not scare me. It was very gimmicky, very corny, right? But then you had thrillers like Along Comes a Spider or things like that, where it was like people, but not scary creatures and not ideas about demons and stuff.
Okay. Yeah, because that was the time of like Scream, I Know What You Did Last Summer. Like just kind of nothing psychological, just very like to the point, in your face type of stories.
Slasher, yes, slasher. Which, hey, girl, you
Oh,
know
I
we
love
love a
those
good.
movies too, but
Oh,
yeah, there was
love 'em.
certainly a theme at that time. Yeah.
There was a theme at that time, and I think at the time, movies themselves were being elevated, right? Like even non-scary movies.
Oh yeah, that was a
Imi-
really good time for movies. Mhm.
yes, the early 2000s, we saw a lot of creativity and like
Mhm.
very good, entertaining, non-gimmicky ideas, psychological too, right? Coming through. So if you've never seen The Ring, which you're probably going to hell for not seeing it. Um, the story centers around this mom. Okay. She's got a son, and the heartbeat of the movie is the relationship with the mom and the son. Okay. She is like this totally pragmatic, like I would assume she's like an atheist, very like logic driven, science driven. She's a journalist. She writes for a newspaper. She is not a person who believes in paranormal or spirits or she just doesn't, you don't infer from the movie that she would ever believe this was happening, right? And in fact, the initial storyline, how it happens is these girls start off the movie best. By the way, the very best scene in the whole movie is the first scene.
Yep.
These girls are in the
I agree.
house, and I might spoil it a little if you haven't seen it, but I'm sure you've seen it. Something has already happened we don't know about, but they're in the house babysitting, right?
No, I think they're just by themselves, like just
Yeah.
hanging
Oh,
out.
yeah, that's right. These teenage girls, and mom and dad are gone, and they go downstairs, and I think one of the TVs turns on with like that white staticky stuff. Kind of scares the crap out of you for a second because it's so loud. And the other girl goes back upstairs to find the other girl, and there's water on the floor. Okay. And the water is significant throughout the whole movie. And the best scene is she walks up, she steps up to the water, she opens the door to see where the other girl is, and the other girl is dead. And her head, oh gosh, I don't even know how to describe
like,
it. Her
Yeah.
face is like like her mouth is pulled.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like,
and what freaks me out is it's only for a split second.
oh, split second.
And then the head falls, right?
Yeah.
So this girl, she's a teenage girl. She's sitting on the floor. You just for a split second, you see this face and the face falls. It's one of the best horror / psychological moments in the entire movie to have seen it like that. Okay.
I'm going to tell you this. This is what I think. That is where the start of the jump scare came.
Yes.
And it wasn't a jump scare, but because it was so quick, it jumped out at you. I swear to God, that's where they started.
And remember, it was like, if it was CGI'd, it was so good. I really don't know.
I don't know, because it looked like she got scared. It looked like she was scared mid-scream, and then her face started to melt almost in a way.
And then froze.
Yeah.
And then anyway.
Yeah.
So it's the catalyst for the whole movie because it's a crazy death, right? And they're like, no one can explain what happened to her. They're thinking it's her heart exploded. Like they give random stuff.
Yeah, like she was scared to death.
Yeah. So the mom, her name is Rachel, by the way. I'll always remember that because my sister's name is Rachel. She starts to investigate because the girl that died is her niece. Remember?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, because that's who watched her son. So she like kind of immediately, just as like a journalist, I guess, or like someone who does investigative work, was like, yeah, something's off. So she basically, the whole movie is her investigating these random deaths and how they're connected, and how they died is very bizarre.
Yeah.
But like in the real world, we don't always hear about this kind of stuff, right? Like someone could have a bizarre death in the next state over. We would never know unless it's like televised or something.
Right.
So she does all this work, but as she's doing the work, and this is what I love about the movie, little by little, psychological missteps keep happening to her. And because I so relate to that feeling of like, I don't believe in this. Like, this is crazy. I'm not that her first thought is never, this is evil, this is demons, this is paranormal. She's like trying to logically wrap her mind around this story. It turns out to be this girl, right? She's murdered. And the way that
Samara?
Yeah, Samara.
Yeah.
The way that this girl is murdered, curses. It's like a curse sent out.
Mm-hmm.
And how you get cursed is you watch this videotape, which anyone under the age of, I don't know, 32, a videotape is a big black box.
A VHS tape.
You have to put it into a tape player. Okay. A group of kids watches this tape. They all die within a week. It's hard to explain without taking an hour and a half, but basically the storyline itself is believable. These kids go, they're suddenly dying. So there's a realness to it, right? Because these kids are actually dying.
Yeah.
But there's also like, but how are they dying in these weird ways? But the authorities and like normal people like you and I are not putting two and two together.
Why would you? Like, why would you think it's a videotape?
Right.
Yeah.
What makes this my most favorite movie, and one that I wish I could watch again and will probably watch tonight,
Oh, God.
is the imagery. They have some of the most beautifully haunting scenes. So once you watch the tape, there's a series of scenes, right?
Yeah.
You see Samara at one point, you see Samara's mom, you see flies coming off the screen, you see centipedes and ladders, and they all mean
chair, like all this stuff.
Creepy. And what's so funny is none of it is exploiting an idea. It's just a clean idea. They walked into the studio and they were like, turn that chair upside down and put a centipede through it.
Yeah.
And why is that creepy? I don't know, but it's so effective, right? And oh my gosh, I didn't realize the sun was going down. So that's what there's like horses involved. I know. I'm the worst storyteller, but I would rewatch this movie if I could for the first time again. Your gut just drops this time after time, and then you have these insanely good actors. This is what I love about this movie.
Yeah, it was good.
She's a good actor. The husband was a good actor. The dad, her son's dad is such a good actor.
The kid was a good actor too. The son was a good actor too. I don't think I've seen him in anything since, unless he grew up and I just don't recognize him. But I don't.
No, honestly, I think he's traumatized from the movie.
I would be.
So you've just got a cast of amazing people, a story that's truly like reality based, right? And then you have the horrific story of Samara's death and how it all happened. And then they use these beautiful, I would say, artistic scenes. Like whoever made the tape itself, that's so good all on its own, just to watch the tape. And the noise that it makes. Remember, it's like,
yeah, like that frequency. Yeah. I think that does it too.
So I watched it alone. I thought I was strong enough to handle it. I literally couldn't go to sleep. I had to turn all the lights on. And to this day, it just resonates. I don't know. It just sits with me. And maybe it's because I was 17 at the time and it was like an impressionable time in my life. But I'm telling you, that's when movies started to really elevate, like across the board.
Yeah. And even in like romances and all that. Yeah. Like it was a good time.
It was nice to not watch, for instance, and I think you and I disagree on this, but like watching The Shining, right? I love The Shining until I see the ghosts. And it's not because of the ghosts, it's because of the way they portrayed the ghosts. They weren't scary to me. They were just there.
Oh, I can see. Have you ever read the book?
Yes, yeah, of course.
Oh,
And
okay.
it's wonderful. He is scarier than the ghosts.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, there's no context to the ghosts in there. You're like, I mean, obviously the lady in the bathtub, you're like, oh, she died in the bathtub, but like the bear and stuff, like unless you've read the book, you're like, huh? So they're not very scary. They're just weird.
Right.
Like it's just random, kind of throws you off.
Like one of the creepiest scenes in The Shining is when the little boy is like, red rum,
Yeah,
red rum. Like
definitely.
that's
Definitely.
creepy to me.
Hmm.
But on the whole, I'm not scared by The Shining. I never had like a moment. I was just like, dang, that
No,
lady's
me
boobs
neither.
are nasty.
Yeah,
Like
like,
what?
oh, that's creepy, but like definitely
Yeah.
it's not like The Ring at
Yeah.
all.
And I feel like after The Ring came out, then we saw a slew of really good like horror slasher and thriller films that had beef to them,
Yeah.
like a good like meaty story and like good characters. And then that kind of fell off for a long time. And you and I agree, like there's
Even
just
now.
not good scary movies. But The Antlers kind of made me think about it. Like
Here and
kind
there
of
they're
brought,
coming out with them.
yeah,
Yeah.
kind of brought me back to a little bit. So that's mine. So if you haven't seen The Ring, or and there's more than one actually, and
But
I
the
actually
original's the best.
the
Or the
original is the
scariest,
best.
I should say. Yeah.
It's just one of those uh it kind of makes you think like, what am I looking at and why am I having this visceral reaction to a freaking centipede? Like, why is that freaking me out? But it just does.
Yeah.
So bravo to the makers of The Ring and
Let
to
me give my 2 cents really quick on your
oh, okay.
choice,
Go
which was
ahead.
a really good one, by the way. And the only reason why I didn't pick it is because it's not a movie that I wish I could see again. It's a movie I wish I have never seen at all. This movie traumatized me so bad, scared me so bad that that
Oh,
girl's face, like you were talking about, like it scared me so bad. I wish I had never seen it because it's awful. It's just awful.
but
And
that's
it's not
the
a bad movie. It's just the effect it had on me. I'm like, I don't want that.
see, that's why. But I understand from your position where like you've struggled with that kind of stuff and things being kind of attached to you.
Yeah.
But for me, that's why I liked it, because it was distinctly the first time that I walked away from a movie and I was like, I legit don't want to shut my lights off.
Oh, I was the same way. I saw it with our good friend Marissa from high school. Remember when I used to live in
Yeah,
that little back house? Remember the back
yeah,
house I've talked about?
yeah.
She came over, we watched it. She was not scared of it at all. She fell asleep, I think, during it.
That
Okay.
sounds like Marissa.
Yeah, like she was so hardcore, like nothing bothered Marissa, nothing got to her. So of course this corny ass movie to her wouldn't bother her. I was so freaked out, especially by the beginning scene, just by the whole thing. I was trying to get her to spend the night, but she couldn't. And then so she goes home. Every light in that house went up. I It was like the middle of summer when we watched it. I had no air conditioning in that little house. I slept with the covers up because I thought if I'm not covered, I'm going to die. My hood was like, I was so scared, but my face wasn't covered because I was like, I
Yeah.
have to see, I have to have the light on. I couldn't sleep for like a week, probably
But
or
that
more,
but
without the
that
lights on.
but that makes sense because that's when you really started having experiences, was in that
Oh,
house.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
So you probably didn't even know at the time that like maybe I shouldn't watch this in this
Right?
space.
It's just like inviting stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly,
No,
I could live with never have seeing that movie just because of how scared it made me feel. Like I
yeah.
love being scared, but that I was,
Hmm.
God, what was I? I was petrified.
That's what
Petrified.
I'm saying though, Mallory. It's
Yeah.
like, what other movies have ever made me feel that way? And I could not think of one. This was my
The
immediate.
Exorcist has made me feel that way where I'm so scared, but you know what it is? The Exorcist doesn't give me like a, like how you were talking about the visuals in that movie in The Ring.
Right.
they make me feel like I need to take a shower. That movie makes me feel dirty.
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah, and The Exorcist is definitely scary to me just because the whole thing, like I believe in possession and stuff like that, but
Mhm.
this was just it just made me feel like
Yeah,
like
and that's what
ugh.
I'm saying. Like realizing now at my age how good it is and how good it was, right? That's why it was my top pick. And
That's a
in
good
fact,
one.
I probably watch The Ring probably like 3 or 4 times a year,
Oh, I've only
honestly.
seen it once. That one time. I
Oh
won't watch
my
it again.
gosh,
I will
I
not
love
watch
it.
it again. And
I love it.
it's because and that's why I was like, "Oh, her name she was a lawyer or whatever or she was a newspaper. Oh, that was her dot like I don't remember any of that because I will never know
Mallory,
more.
you
I
need
will
to
never watch
watch
it.
it again. It's
No, no,
so
thank you.
good.
I won't even
It's
let the kids
so
put it
good.
on in the house.
Why?
Daniele's like, let's watch The Ring. I'm like, you're grounded for even suggesting that.
I'm surprised at you because I would think that you wouldn't watch what are all those movies with the husband and wife
Paranormal
and
Activity.
yeah. No, not Paranormal Activity is a good one too. Sorry, my jacket is like trying to make an appearance apparently. No. Lorraine and
Oh, like The Conjuring and stuff?
The Conjuring. I'm surprised you watch those because that's what I would think would scare you.
You know what it is? You know what the worst part about The Ring is? Is the faces of the people that died.
They're freaking creepy.
And you don't, even if you've watched the movie a ton of times and you know it's coming, it still, I would think, would surprise me. And I don't like that jump scare feeling. So I guess I know that a really bad jump scare is coming. So I don't want to see it.
And I like that it's not overdone, actually. That's one of the things that I appreciated about the
No.
movie.
Yeah.
You only see that face twice. I think the
The
niece
girl and the boyfriend.
and the boyfriend.
Yeah.
That's it. So
Yeah.
again, I hate when movies are redundant. Like I need a jump scare, but a jump scare happens when nothing has been happening and your brain has settled into relax mode.
Yeah.
And then someone opens the door and sees a face ripped open and you're like, shh, like holding on for dear life because you just pooped a little. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That.
Okay. All right.
You
I
know
have
what?
talked
Just for you, I
way
will
too
try
much.
to watch it again. I'll try to watch it
Please.
again.
Okay. If you do, let's watch it together. So
But
I
then it
can
won't
like
be
see.
scary. Won't be scary.
Okay. Then, because I want to see your face when you watch it.
Okay, I see. I see. All right. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
No, you need to take it in your room and watch it in a dark room.
That's what I mean. Like I have to watch it at night. I can't watch it during the day like some wimp.
No.
It has to be at night, dark,
No.
dark room, but not by myself. Not by my. I can't by myself.
Okay. All
So I'm
right.
gonna. I mean, we could watch it together, or I have to have my husband nearby or something because if I watch it by myself, she's gonna get me.
No, watch it on your own because I feel like I'll pressure you into feeling a certain way.
You're right. I will
Yeah.
fill expectations to
Yeah.
not
And I'll
disappoint
be
you.
doing the like, wait, do you see it? Did you see it? You know what
Oh,
I'm
here it
saying?
comes. Here it
Like,
comes. Watch this part.
yeah, or you'll just see me go really still and then you'll know something's coming.
Oh, see, that's no good. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's no good.
All right, enough about The Ring. I'm almost sick of talking about it. Almost.
Okay.
What was your pick for people who don't know your poster?
Oh, I know. Okay, so my pick was Pet Cemetery, the
Oh,
original one.
the
I know. And it's
original.
probably like, okay, more Stephen King. Can you please get off of his pee-pee? But
No,
it's just I can't help it. It's such a great movie.
listen. He has a beautiful hairy sack, and if you want to hang on to that for the rest of your life, no one's gonna judge you for it.
Oh my gosh. It's just okay. And here's the thing with this movie is that again, this has scenes in it that have affected me my whole life from the time that I seen it because I've seen this back probably this is from 1987. I want to say
I was
it's from
about
like
to say I was little. I was probably
yeah.
5 or 6.
Let me see. Pet Cemetery.
I love how neither of us.
1989.
Oh my god.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we were 4 when it came out. I probably didn't see it till I was like 6 or 7. I seen it very young. But the parts that scare me and why it scares me and how I still behave to this day because of this movie is almost a reason why I wouldn't want to see it ever. Like I wish I had never seen it, but it doesn't make me feel geese like The Ring
Yeah.
does, which is why there's also other parts of it that I really like. So that's why
Well,
I'll still watch it and I still love it, and it's a movie I wish that I could watch again. But I'll tell
yes.
you why I wish I could watch it again, but not as a young kid, but as an adult. I'll tell you why. But
No, and this is why you and I have such a problem with little kids in scary movies. Right here. We set the bar high for creepy little kids.
but you know what, Gage is the little boy's name. He's not even really, well, he's part of the reason why, but you'll see. Okay, so anyways, I'll give you a little setup. Pet Cemetery. This family, oh my gosh, I can't remember. I love this movie and I can't remember their name.
Well, they
The
move
Creed
there, right?
family. The Creed
Right.
family. Okay,
Yeah.
it's Lewis Creed, his wife, his son, and his daughter. They all moved to Maine because Lewis got a job at a college being a doctor, and they moved to this house, and it's right on this really not busy road, but it's a road where
It's like a
truckers go.
highway. Yeah, it's
It's a
like a highway.
highway, but it's not like a really traveled highway, other than mostly semis and the people that live on that road.
Yeah, it's kind of how would you say it, like backcountry?
Yeah, it's like a backcountry road. And so because of that, the trucks that go on this road go really fast. And it's kind of like a problem. And it, the road tends to claim a lot of lives of animals crossing the road. And henceforth the name Pet Cemetery, because right behind the Creed's new house is a pet cemetery where all the local kids bury their pets, whether or not they've been killed on the road, but they bury their pets back there. And it's actually on the Creed's property, but it's like way back in the property. You have to like walk like a mile to get to it. Um, so they have the pet cemetery. Across the street from them is Judd Crandall, which is like an older man who lives across the street, becomes friends with Lewis, tells him, be careful with the road, get your cat fixed so that it doesn't, get in the road, whatever. Now, time goes on as they're like living in this road in this town. Lewis has like a really bad incident with this guy here. I forget what his
I
name is.
get, don't ask me. I can't remember his name
Victor
either.
Pascal. His name's Pascal. He gets hit by a car at the college, dies, but kind of like has this interaction with Lewis right before he dies that kind of messes with Lewis's head.
The soil of a man's heart is stonier, Lewis.
How did you know my name?
I'll come to you.
How did you know my name?
Time goes on. The cat gets hit by a car while the wife and the kids are gone um, at their parents' house for Thanksgiving, and Lewis is stayed behind. And that's when Judd tells Lewis about a different cemetery that is like way behind the pet cemetery. So he doesn't even really tell him about it. He's like, grab your cat, I'm going to help you bury it. But they walk like up this mountain and they go through this swamp
Yeah.
and stuff. And they finally get to it's a Micmac Indian or Micmac Native American burial ground. And they bury it there. And then they walk home. And Lewis is like, why the heck did we just bury my cat way out here? But whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Turns out the Micmac burial ground has magical powers and it brings things back to life. but
How
they
come
don't
when
come
you
back.
said how come when you
What?
said Micmac, I was like knick-knack, knick-knack,
Micmac
paddywhack?
Paddywhack.
Give a dog a bone.
I always think that too. I'm like, man, that's an
Sorry.
unfortunate name. They didn't even know
Sorry,
that was going to happen, but that's
that
an
was
unfortunate
so
name.
rude. That was so rude, but I
No,
was
because
like,
I think
she
the
didn't.
same thing. I think the same thing whenever I hear that.
I was like, I know she did not say knick-knack.
No, Micmac. Micmac. Yeah.
Oh
So,
my God.
anyways, they come back from the dead, but they don't come back good. So it doesn't matter
Yeah.
because I want to say the story behind the Micmac burial ground is that a lot of people buried, a lot of the Native Americans buried their people up there, but they were buried from what do you call it? Like they were killed in like war and
Sacrifices.
stuff. Yeah, not sacrifices. No, they were
Oh.
killed like in war. So there was just
right.
yeah, so it was just like a lot of bad deaths that were built up there, and then they say that the ground went sour. Okay. So now when people bury things up there, yeah, they come back from the dead, but they come back bad, mean. Animals that come back are like messed up or they bite people. They buried like a bull up there once and it came back and like tried to gore people and all this. They even buried a man up there once and they had to kill the man because he was just off and he was like saying dirty
And
things to women and stuff, and it was just bad.
I remember watching it thinking, why do they keep burying stuff up there?
Because they're so desperate to have their loved ones back that they just want them back, but then they come back and they're like, they come back bad.
Yeah.
So I think it's just out of desperation. So anyways, that goes on. The cat comes back, but it's like messed up. It smells
Yeah,
like
it's
death.
on.
Yeah, it's like really messed up. But Lewis doesn't tell anybody about it because obviously, no one's going to believe that. Time goes by. His little son, Gage, which is probably like 2 at the time, gets hit by a truck in the road because he gets away from the parents and he's running like it's fun
Oh, it's
and
so
gets hit.
sad.
I know, it's really sad. The scene is really sad. So the little kid gets hit, and the family is just devastated, obviously, because he was like 2 and he was just like ripped apart. And so the Judd knows that Lewis is thinking about burying his son up there because of course he would. Like you're gonna want
Oh,
your
well,
kid back.
oh my gosh, you talk about acting. He is so devastated.
Oh,
They both are.
yeah, they both
Both
are.
are when the baby dies. Oh my gosh, you sort of agree with them. Like I would do it too.
Oh, I for sure would.
Yeah. And he
just
was a
maybe
baby.
like maybe this time it won't be like messed up. And that's the thing about this cemetery is that it's so evil. The ground is so sour that it wants people to be buried. It wants things to be buried
Yep.
there. So it will, even though Judd knows, because he was around when they buried the first guy, even though Judd knows it's not a good idea, something is calling him to tell
Mhm.
somebody else about it. It's almost like you have to share the secret.
Yeah.
And then the next person that knows it has to share the secret. So
Yes.
it was inevitable. So that's why Judd knows that the graveyard or the cemetery is calling to Lewis to bury.
Yeah.
It's putting the idea in his head.
Yeah. Yeah, and it makes it make sense. Like I said, like why do you keep doing it? Well, there's forces behind
Yeah, that are
the
forcing people
mentality
to
of
do it.
these. And these people have lived there for a long time and
Mhm.
they've been around it for so long that they can't get away from it.
Right. So, anyways, he buries his kid up there. The kid comes back awful, evil, starts killing people, kills the mom,
Literally
kills
with
Judd
knives.
with knives, all that. Then Lewis has to kill the baby. Obviously, he was like, if he comes back evil, I'm gonna put him down. He has to, so he injects him with I don't know, something insulin, I think, or maybe morphine. Kills the baby. The baby killed the mom because the mom knew something was wrong when she was
Mhm.
back at home. Because she had went home after the baby died just to like get away from the house and stuff. She knew something was wrong. She came back. The baby killed her, and Lewis is now so distraught and just like lost his mind over having to kill his son, seeing his wife dead, seeing Judd dead because the baby killed Judd, that he goes, "It hasn't been that long since she's been dead," because he literally finds his wife dead like 10 minutes after she died. So he thinks, I'll just bury her right now. Like, not enough
Yeah.
time has gone by for her to come back bad. She comes back bad and kills him. And then that's the end of the story.
Yeah. I
Now,
mean, that's a very wrapped up version
oh,
of
there's a lot more that's
messed up-
going on. Yeah, there's
of
a
a
lot more that's going on.
messed up movie. That was one of the most messed up movies I ever saw.
It was really messed up. But
Yeah.
okay, so here is the reason why I wish I could watch this movie all the way over again, but as an adult. Okay, so because I see this as a kid, because when you look at this, you're like, oh, that's so gross. But
Yeah, I didn't see
also,
it till it popped up, and I was like, "Oh, the hell!"
but as an adult, if you look at this with adult eyes, you're like, well, it's scary, but it's not that scary. But as a kid, this
Yeah.
is terrifying. This
True.
person is terrifying. And the
True.
story behind her is terrifying because she has spinal meningitis. So she's like all twisted and stuff in the movie. Okay. And the way she talks is like, Rachel.
Uh huh. Uh huh.
Hey, this girl's name's Rachel too.
Okay. By the
Um,
way, how do you even explain this person's character to someone who has not seen the movie?
Right. Okay. So here's the thing. This lady, briefly, this is the wife. This is the wife's sister that died when the wife was 8 years old. Her sister's name was Zelda. Creepy name to begin with. And she caught meningitis, and it was spinal meningitis. And so she was going to die. And it took her a really long time to die.
Yeah.
And she was all twisted. She was in pain all the time. And
Like
Rachel,
gnarly looking.
yeah, Rachel had to take care of her as a kid because her parents were the worst. They were like these rich snobs that couldn't, well, they weren't the worst. They just didn't know how to deal with it because they were rich and their money couldn't buy their daughter's health. Their money could not fix this.
Well,
So they
and
didn't know how to deal with it.
you sort of got it was sort of suggested that they were embarrassed
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They were
to
definitely
have
embarrassed
someone
by
come
it.
in
Yeah.
and take care of her. So it fell to the wife,
It fell to the wife or the little sister at the time.
the little sister at the time. It fell to her to just take care of her. Oh man, and the way they make her spine
Oh, it's
when you
awful.
see it, oh, it's so good.
It is. It's like it's so scary. And so Rachel sees the sister die because she starts to seize and she chokes on her own tongue. She swallows her own tongue. So
Mhm.
Rachel is traumatized by this and actually blames herself because she's like, I couldn't save her. And it's like, you're 8 years old. Of course you couldn't save her.
Yeah.
But Zelda is so mean and
Mhm.
awful to her sister because she's in pain. And so she's just trying to take it out on somebody.
Oh, she abused her.
Oh, totally. But you can't really
Yeah.
blame her because she's sick. But in the movie, she just
Yeah.
the way she talks, she's like, Rachel,
Right?
Rachel. And then
Because even her throat and like her
oh,
jaw.
it's all like
Could you imagine being 7 or 8 years old and having to take care of that?
exactly. And that's why it was so creepy because this scene particularly, okay, I didn't want to put the whole scene in. Maybe I'll put it in during, but she can't move. She's all twisted and stuff. She can barely move on the bed. And this scene comes when Rachel is much older and the cemetery is now using her memories as fodder to scare her and to make her feel worse. And in this scene, Zelda's like curled up in the bed and Rachel like walks into a room that is normally just a normal room, but now it's her sister's sick bedroom. And she sees her sister there and she's all curled up. And then all of a sudden, Zelda goes and
Yeah.
sits up like she shouldn't be able to because she's got a twisted spine.
Yeah.
And she's like, what did she say? She's like, I'm coming to get you, Rachel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
And
sort
it's
of like
crazy.
it's sort of like an elongated jump scare, right? It's sort
Yes.
of like
Because you're not
like holy
expecting her to sit up.
no, she
Yeah.
should not be doing that. You don't see it coming.
And she moves so fast that that's jarring because you know she shouldn't be able to. And then
Exactly.
after she says that to her, she does this and
Yep.
she moves from the bed into the screen and she's like, yeah, actually this is, I don't know why they have Judd's bed behind her, but
Yeah.
she moves into the screen really fast and it's like, ugh, like you shouldn't be able to move this fast.
And I love that in a lot of Stephen King's older movies, you saw scenes where the characters came up to the camera.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
there was no mercy. I'm in your face. You have to.
I'm in your face. And I loved it because they did so many prosthetics back then. So this person is just fully prosthetic out
Mhm.
and screaming into the camera. Try watching that when you're 6 or 7 years old and
You're
not be freaking terrified.
You're like this, trying to get away from it, and it's just right there. Like there's no getting away from it.
Yep. Yeah, agreed.
So
For
there's
sure.
Zelda. Okay, so that still affects me to this day. Now,
That was
this is
so
why I
funny.
say this part, Zelda, this part, if I could see this movie again as an adult, having
Mm.
never seen it before, I don't think she would scare me as much.
No.
I think I was more it was more impressed on me because I was a kid, and of course you're scared of this. I think as an adult I'd probably be like, oh, she's creepy. But I wouldn't be afraid of walking into my room in the dark and have the subconscious thoughts of something scary on the bed because I literally still have these thoughts that
Interesting.
if I'm not careful, there will be something there. And I don't think about Zelda. I don't think, oh, there's something on the bed. But for some odd reason, I don't like to walk towards my bed in the dark. And I
How
think it's because of her.
weird.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think I would have that fear if I'd
See,
seen this movie as an adult for the first time.
that doesn't bother me. My issue is things that I can't define. So like shadows and shapes to me are more freaky than a real. This is why I always say, like, if it's a demon and you show it in the movie, that's it for me. I've lost interest. If it's a shape or an idea or a feeling or a shadow, that freaks me out more than like this gnarly person here.
Well,
You know what I
I
mean?
mean, I'm not afraid of seeing Zelda on the bed, and I think it's more like how you're saying, the fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
Whereas the fear of the unknown coming at me, and that's because of her. It was she came
Okay.
at her, and
Okay.
she shouldn't have
Gotcha.
been able to move like that. She shouldn't have been there. She shouldn't have been in the room when Rachel saw her, and that's the fear. Like I'm going to open the door, and there's going to be something on my bed that shouldn't be there.
And it's interesting that he's able to use that, and it's almost an outside piece of the story, but it works to move the story. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, to make it even worse.
you don't think it's important until you see the whole movie.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
and it is an important part of the movie. It
I don't
definitely
know.
is.
Yeah, it's still such a top-notch movie. Like,
It is.
so I watched the new one.
Ugh,
I was
don't even. That was
highly
trash.
disappointed. Do not waste your time on that.
Trash.
Just watch the old one, but do it the right way. Get all your lights off, put
Mhm.
your phone away, enjoy the cinematic. You know, these were very top upcoming movies. These were very like, you know, prosthetics and CGI was coming out and like
this thing. Look at this, the foot.
yeah,
Where is it?
exactly. Exactly.
This is the scene where Judd knows that the baby has come back from the dead, and he wants to go find the baby because he knows he has to be killed because he doesn't realize that Lewis is going to kill it. He's like, I got to take this into my own hands and kills the baby and kill the baby. The baby is hiding in Judd's bedroom, and he's going, want to play, or I want to play with you. And Judd's walking around looking for
Yep.
him. He trips over some carpet, falls down. The baby comes out from underneath the bed with his dad's scalpel, cuts his Achilles tendon so that he can't move
Run.
anymore, so that he can't walk. Because Judd's like 80 years old, and then kills him once Judd is down because he falls. This is why I would want to watch this scene also as an adult, because now from watching this when I was a kid, I cannot have my heels, the heels of my feet, facing towards the underside of a bed too close. I literally cannot get off the bed with
Right.
my feet too close to the bed. I have to like put my feet out.
Right.
And it's a subconscious thing now. Like I don't even
Okay.
think about it, but it's because of this, because I'm like, something's gonna slash the bottom of my foot. And this is a
Correct.
childhood fear that
So
I should not have
you
as an adult, but I do.
so you sort of have found the little triggers or the little catalysts for like things that you do now
Mm-hmm.
from these movies. It's so funny you say that. My IKEA bed has drawers. So there's no space. No one can hide under my bed. And it's going to sound stupid, but I told Nathaniel, I like this bed because there's no space underneath.
That is I'm gonna sit really close to the microphone. That is exactly why I used to do that with my beds.
Correct.
Nobody can kill you from underneath the bed. Nothing can hide because how are they gonna get out?
The,
Nobody can
and
murder
in a
you underneath the
way,
bed from underneath the bed.
I think you're right. Like, I think part of the reason I don't like shadows and things like that is because that is so unpredictable versus like a demon that you know is coming for you, right?
Just a random shadow, you mean?
Just shadows or dark corners or dark figures, right? Like I have seen so many shadowed figures that it bothers me because I can't say it was a person. I can't say what it was. Like I'm afraid of people more than I'm afraid of spirits, obviously.
Right.
But in the middle of the night when you roll over and you feel that thing and you're blinking in the dark and because you're trying to make your eyes adjust and you can't quite see and you see shapes and shadows, that's freakier to me than anything else in this world.
Well, yeah, because that's not something you can kill yourself. That's not something you can fight. It's a what do you call it? It's not a fog, but it's a nothing.
Yeah.
How
Well,
are
and
you supposed to
it's
hit that? How are you supposed to shoot that? How are you supposed to
yeah,
kill that?
and
You can't.
it's psychological, right? Because if something is physically attacking you, you can physically attack it back.
Yeah.
If a spirit is looming at the foot of your bed, which I've had, or standing by your doorway, which I've had,
Hashtag that's my biggest fear in life, but whatever, go on.
literally, okay. How you can't, there's no coping mechanism for that.
No.
And so I guess I haven't really other than maybe white noise, I haven't really seen a movie do that well. They always want to go for grotesque demon, and I'm like, I don't know, that doesn't do it for me.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen White Noise with Michael Keaton?
Love that movie. Everybody
Yeah.
thinks I'm crazy. I'm like, that movie
No,
is genius. That movie
dude,
is genius.
that's because you and I have had those experiences and we understand how close
Oh, yeah.
we are
Yeah.
to things. So it's that movie freaked me out. I didn't put it as my number one because I recently watched it like maybe in November. And there were a couple of parts that I was like, maybe I missed that the first time, but that's kind of dumb.
Oh, for sure. There's a lot of cornball things in it. But the overall is genius
it left
to
a
me.
huge impression on me. It's the reason I love Final Destination too. There's no demon. There's no
No, it's just like bad people that died, right? Or there are demons, but it's not.
well, you don't
It's just
see
shadow.
them.
Yeah, you just see like outlines.
It's like Bird Box.
Yeah, or like Ghost, kind of
Yeah.
in a way. Ghost,
Yes,
where they
when
come
the
and they
dark,
take you.
yeah, when the dark guys would come. So
Man, that's a movie I wish I'd never seen because I could live without those ghosty guys.
and everybody just remembers the stupid pottery barn.
No, I remember the little Langolier type things that come out and they're like,
No,
and they drag
it's
you
like,
to hell.
yeah, because if you're a bad person, they
They took you to hell, yeah.
You know, the best character in that entire movie was the guy in the subway.
The one that jumped onto the tracks?
Yeah, the guy that he's like yelling at him. He is a ghost,
Oh,
but he's
he's
like stuck in the
dead.
in
That's
between.
right. He's
But
freaky
he's
because
in
he
this.
just keeps coming at him.
I feel like
Yeah.
he's like that in real life. Like he did that part so well.
Yeah.
Remember?
Mhm.
Anyway, I almost just died. I loved your pick, and I definitely thought about it because Pet Cemetery was such a marked experience for me.
Yeah.
But nothing touches how The Ring left me. Nothing. Like it left me absolutely gutted. Spiritually, mentally, physically. I I wish I could go back and like just soak up all of that. It was so good.
Well, maybe
So
now that it's been 20 years since I've seen it, maybe now I can stand it.
I wish you
Um,
would. I wish you
I'll
would watch it,
probably
and
watch it again.
I want you to watch it, and then I want to hear maybe on the next episode. Tell me
How it
like,
made me feel.
yeah, because but Mallory, you put your phone away.
I have
Don't
to
be
know the details. I have to know the exact.
listen. This is one of the reasons people always like Nathaniel always looks up trailers and does it. I don't do that when I go see a movie because back then I couldn't do that. So I walked into a theater or I rented a DVD or got a Blockbuster and just watched a movie with no distractions. Do not be talking to your kids and your husband and having the dog and just
Oh,
enjoy.
okay. I see what you mean. I thought you meant right now, like I was going to be looking something up. I'm like, no, I have to know what year it was made.
No, that's what I'm saying. When you watch The Ring, do it in the old school style. You
Okay.
know,
Okay. Yeah. I
it's
see what
just
you mean.
it's an experience, and do it with the lights off because I think it's more effective.
Oh, of course. Any horror movie is more effective in the dark.
Now you're making
Of
me
course it is.
now you're making me want to watch Pet Cemetery again. It's been a couple years. I'm trying to think.
Yeah. I mean, it's I have such stupid irrational fears that I know that if I had never seen this movie as a kid, I would not have now because they're just stupid fears. Like, come on, put your feet down, you dummy. But I can't. So thank
I
you,
still
Stephen
shut
King.
the lights off and run up the stairs like my life
Oh
depends on
yeah,
it. So
sprinting at full speed and then
yeah,
hitting it. And
it's
if it
it's
doesn't go
not
off, screw it.
irrational. It's not irrational. And if anybody tells you otherwise, our age, they were either severely traumatized to where demons don't bother them,
Hmm.
or they lived in Candyland.
Yeah,
Because
their parents didn't let them watch scary movies. They had nothing to fear.
so
And see,
um
that's the great thing about loving horror movies and loving true crime stuff. It sort of makes you hyper aware. It sort of makes
oh
you
yeah.
it makes you super untrusting of anybody. But in this day and age, you can't really trust anybody because you don't know what somebody's up to.
Nope.
You can't trust the little old man that's walking down his street at the same time as you to
Nope.
go get your mail because
Nope.
you don't know what he's up to. So you cross the
Uh
street.
no, I
You keep
almost
your
got
distance.
kidnapped. I almost got kidnapped by an old man. There's
You
just things I
can't. You
do
can't trust anybody.
like why would you ever park your car in a dark part of the parking lot? Why would you ever walk down a dark part of the sidewalk when you could just walk in and have someone come? Do you know how many times I'd be walking out of the hotel and I would have the guy walk with me?
Hmm.
Because people hide in between. It's scary movies have taught me how to be a good person. Let's just put it out there.
Well,
Like,
just a good person that doesn't get murdered.
yeah,
Then
they've
that's
just
what I mean. Like
a
I have
smart
irrational,
person.
I have irrational fears from these scary movies, like the dumb ankle thing and stuff like that. But I
Yeah,
also have good instincts when it comes to stuff.
exactly.
Like I will
Exactly.
hear everything. Who's that? What's going on? What do you want? Get out of here.
Uh-huh.
Like that's the good thing
Oh,
about it.
and it's made it I am hyper aware, but not in like an irrational way.
No, 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 no. In a totally rational way.
This is a very long episode for an episode that we said wasn't going to be very long.
I'll cut out a lot. Okay, so so that's our pick. Hope you all enjoyed it. Here is my thought for the next recording. You know that game, I don't want to say the bad word, but it's like do, marry, kill.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so I think we need to do a do, marry, kill of horror movie bad guys and choose three that you would either do, one that you would do, one that you would marry, one that you would kill.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. There's so
There's so many, so
many.
you have to think about who would you want to have.
Tell me why Freddy Krueger just came to mind.
I know, I'm like, he's got to be in
Immediate.
there somewhere, but so really think about it and you have to come up with your reasons why. I mean, obviously you would kill all of these guys, but like some of them, when you think about it, you're like, well, maybe I wouldn't kill him because he's only killing off so and so or whatever. But this guy
Or
needs to die because of this reason.
maybe we do the hanky panky and you find out a little bit of something about yourself that you didn't realize.
Oh, how about this?
'Cause
How about this? Do, marry, let live. How about do, marry, kill, let
Do Mary
live.
Kill, Let Live.
Yeah, because they
Okay,
really
I like
all
it.
should die, but maybe you let one of them live.
I like it.
Okay, so that'll be for next week. I always get us out of here, huh? Okay. So hope you all enjoyed this. Tune in next time. This has been frickin' scary with Holly and Valerie. Bye bye.
Bye.
How do I stop
All
recording?
right.